Exactly.
weapon can't stop us now. Jaja is our leader. Jaja is our leader. Our leader. If Jaja be for us, oh my brethren, who can be against us? If Jaja be for us, oh my sister, who can be against us? If Jaja be for us, oh my people, who can be against us? Yes, another wind blowing. Yes, come and it all like a judgment morning. Yes, and I say hello, never, never leave for us. No matter worries, yeah, nobody again. Congo, I say what about adoration? And I say what a desolation. They come and say what about adoration? Congo from
Tenestiling, greetings and blessings to all. And I greet you in the power of the Trinity. Kadamawi, Haile Selassie, Empress, Meaning Astra, Jah Rastafari. As I invoke the
It's the
presence
same
and
one, girl,
blessings
but
of
it
the
only
divine
works on my
rules,
phone.
and I pray that the words of
And
our
girl,
mouth
I'm here letting it.
and the meditations of our heart be acceptable to their divine majesties, be acceptable to all within this gathering, and indeed to the honoree and I love it, Nana Rita Marley. May peace, good health, and oceans of blessings be upon all of I within I abodes, among our families and communities. Blessings and welcome to all on this very special occasion, honoring of I beloved Nana Rita Marley. This event is brought to us by the Universal Development of Rastafari Incorporated, IDOR, School of Sacrament, Rastafari University, in collaboration with Zion Village, Frontline Publishers, and the Rastafari Studies Initiative. The event is the third in a series of webinars in the continuum of the 90th anniversary of the crowning, celebrating the crowning of Emperor Haile Selassie I and Menelik Astra, and in the birthing construct of a new African identity, Rastafari give thanks. Included in these events are the evaluating of the feminine energies of Rastafari and the Pan-African woman, the creating, collecting, and archiving of Rastafari-centered scholarship, and the operationalization of these works culminating in a certifying tertiary institution. May Haile Selassie I, Rastafari, continue to inspire and direct and bless this initiative. This event is particularly special as it not only honors the deserving matriarch of the Marley family, the Rastafari woman, and our beloved Pan-African benefactor, Nana Rita. It also kickstarts the celebration of Nana Rita's 75th year since her birthday and an enduring legacy. So welcome again to all. Sit forward, relax, and full joy as I give you over to the host for the evening, Dr. Imani Tafari and Dottie Bookman. Rastafari blessings. Thank you so much. Full joy. Give thanks.
Greetings. Today is Sunday, February 21, 2021. And thank you all for joining us for the third webinar in continuation of our celebrations of the 90th anniversary of the coronation of Emperor Haile Selassie and Empress Menen Asfaw, and the observation, of course, of Black History and Reggae Months this February. For today's webinar, the Universal Development of Rastafari Incorporated, or IDOR, and the School of the Sacrament of Rastafari University, Sosacruedu, that's the acronym that you'll be hearing a lot of as we go on. We honor today our mother, Rita Constancia Marley, or Nana Rita Marley, and I am Imani Tafari Ama.
And I am Dottie Bookman. Welcome, everyone. The discussants for today's webinar are Professor Caroline Cooper, Dr. Desta Magoo, Dr. Eleanor Wint, Sister Lorna Wainwright, and Queen Merja. Remember that you can participate by your comments and questions in the chat, and along with the presenters, we will field your queries and provide a summation at the end of the session.
So we know that only a handful of individuals, male or female, have risen to global recognition for the enduring impact of their life commitment and works. And even fewer individuals emerge from the humble beginnings, from Cuban birth to a trench town development that resulted in the production of an internationally respected Jamaican brand, with the organizational agencies to self-finance and direct Pan-African agendas wherever required. Our beloved Sister Nana Rita has been one of the most visible and consistently engaged Rastafari out of Jamaica since her emergence on the local and international scenes in the early 1970s. Through her visibility within the musical group, the I3, as well as her marriage to reggae king Bob Marley, she became one of the key women in the Pan-African world spotlights. She fashioned a uniquely ordered system to continue the Rastafari mission as founded around the principles taught by the elders in Trenchtown. And she has magnified the I-free principles of the Rastafari liberty, enabling expressions of her own femininity, her ingenuity, and business acumen. These she has used to direct and preserve the legacy of Bob Marley and to open the way for large-scale Rastafari missions to impact continental African development.
Nana Rita is one of the most engaged individuals in the Pan-African situation and best organized and far-reaching sponsors in anticipating the direction and needs of the family. She has been a key facilitator of almost every major international Rastafari assembly since the early 1980s. Nana Rita ensured the development of Rastafari spaces, including recording studios, museums, merchandising outlets, tabernacle, children and elders care, and even burial sites for venerated elders. She remains active in this work and is supported by her own well-developed organization, the Rita Marley Foundation, whose influence stretches across the length of Jamaica and beyond.
Rita Marley embodies the courage of a Mary Seacole on the contemporary battlefield as she tends to the vulnerable from the cradle to the grave, with the diligence of Amy Ashwood Garvey and Amy Jakes Garvey, who matched Marcus Garvey for the brilliance of their leadership torches. Nana Rita has woven the opinions and philosophy of Rastafari in her mission, with the brilliance of Dr. Anna Julia Haywood Cooper and the bravado of Miss Lou. She is the first woman to introduce the conversation surrounding the good for all in the industrialization of ganja, demanding one draw.
Yes, yes. And as we celebrate the rise of the feminine energies within Rastafari, and indeed our world, and engage in the birthing of a new African identity, we likewise celebrate Nana Rita Marley, a luminary by way of her work, safeguarding futures for African peoples near and far. And at this time, we're gonna have... Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes, go ahead. We can both go ahead. We're going to hear from some speeches of Emperor Haile Selassie I on women and empowerment, because that was one of his focal points, and Sister Getnet will facilitate this segment.
Greetings, everyone. I'm Sister Jeanette, and I would like to start with a quote from Empress Menen Asfa on women. "We are indeed glad for this evening, which has caused our voice to be heard by all women throughout the world. Regardless of the different climate they live in, women in this world are connected and have the same desire in maintaining world peace and love." The next two quotes will be from Haile Selassie. "African civilization in its potential magnitude must be able to command fortitude, patience, tolerance, and diligence. To sustain us in all our tasks, we count on women of Africa. Without their relentless vigilance, no aspect of our responsibilities can be attained. Women's role has never been so demanding, and you can be proud to answer the call for the betterment and future of mankind." That was in December 14th of 1960. Today, the women of the world are not content only to live as housewives. In most countries, they're striving harder and harder for higher education so that they may participate in the civic duties of their community and nation. In time of war, women, like men, have served their country, and some of them have fought side by side with the men against the enemy. The School of Sacrament, Rastafari University, respectfully and dutifully honor you, Nana Queen Rita Marley. Your life's work and your accomplishments inspire us all to achieve good. Thank you.
They try to keep us down, scatter us all around to diverse parts of the earth, hoping we'd waste away. But no matter what they do, no matter what they say, all our daughter children are go Harambe, Harambe. Hear what I say? Harambe, Harambe. Hear what I say? Harambe. What color is the rainbow? Check it next time it shows. It's the way we should be, all together in harmony. We're sailing in the same boat, we're rocking up the same stream. So no matter what they do, no matter what they say, all our Jaja children are on Harambe, Harambe. Hear what I say? Harambe. Hear what I say? Harambe. Can a leopard change its spots? Jaja children, their skin. But say blood thicker than water. Love will take us further. So don't you feel no way? As I saw Jaja say, and no matter what they do, no matter what they say, all our Jaja children are go Harambe, Harambe. Hear what I say? Harambe, Harambe. Harambe means working together, pulling together in one love, peace and harmony. The African way, don't feel no way. So Jaja say, and I say, Bob Marley say.
Okay, that was Harambe by the Honorable Rita Marley. And we have the distinct honor and pleasure of having her here with us on the Zoom. We want to say welcome, Nana Rita. Thank you for being with us. We honor you, we give you your flowers now, and we're very, very just pleased and honored to have you here with us. So as we move on, Nana Rita Marley is a mother in reality and figuratively to countless people across the African diaspora, whether in Jamaica or Ghana or Florida or elsewhere. But only one person on the planet has the distinction of being her firstborn, and that person is Sharon Marley. At this time, we welcome Sharon to help us set the tone about who her mother is. Please, Sharon.
My mother is a philanthropist. So she creates big things out of basically nothing. And that's been my mom from ever since. She's always built upon whatever little she has, and everyone would end up benefiting from her input into society. Um, One of the many ventures I can think about is the Bob Marley Museum, which my mom started in 1986. And from that venture has sprung so many benefits for people not only of the island, Jamaica, but from different countries around the world have benefited from the Bob Marley Museum in different ways. And annually, we would put on functions for children in children homes, um, girls homes. We would have fun days at the museum. From ever since I can remember, my mother has been feeding those who are hungry, clothing those who are naked, and putting a roof over a lot of persons' heads. I can also think about the village in Africa, in Ghana. When she went into that village in Africa, there was no road, there was no light, there was no water, and it's a village full of children. And because of her philanthropic effort, um, the village is up and running, light, water. There's even a clinic there, which benefit the whole mountain of Konkunu because it's on a mountain, that village. So I can go on and on, but those are just some of the ventures that I'd like to mention where I see my mother has put forth support for young and old, women and men alike. God bless her.
Poignant testimony there from Sharon Marley, firstborn of Nana Rita Marley. And moving on with the program, we want to now introduce Dr. Desta Magoo, a significant person in the life of Sister Rita Marley, and she will be our first presenter or in the seminar mode. And we want to thank her because we know there's a significant time difference where she is. Dr. Desta Magoo was born in Jamaica on August 15, 1961, and she migrated to the United States of America in the 1970s, where she pursued her calling as a Pan-African activist within the Rastafari movement as a teenager in an effort to confront racism. By the 1980s, her activism led her to work with conscious reggae artists, including Nana Rita Marley herself, and she also worked in Rastafari, including the coordination of the ancient Nyabingi order, the visit of this order to New York in 1988. And she worked with the New York Rastafari community to make that happen. She also, in 1994 to 97, published the Red Pages, the Rastafari Economic Development a directory, which was from 1974 to 1994 rather to 1997. And she also held an appointment by the Ancient Council of the Nyabingi as an advisor on the Smithsonian's Discovering Rastafari exhibition and more. She also was responsible for the reggae music industries and the Rastafari involvement in and Nana Rita's involvement in both these sectors. So she also can testify that Nana Rita had a tremendous impact on her trajectory, and activism, and this led to her appointment as managing director of the Bob Marley Foundation in 2004, where she was tasked with the coordination and the landmark Ethiopian-hosted Africa Unite show for the 60th anniversary of Bob Marley's birthday in 2005. Likewise, her mentorship from Ras Mortimer Plano and family friend and Pan-African diplomat Baba Dudley Thompson helped her to hone her skills in international diplomacy and advocacy for recognition of Africans in the diaspora and on the continent. Please allow me to welcome and join me in welcoming Dr. Desta Magoo with her presentation, Harambe.
Esteling from Ethiopia, Addis Ababa. Greetings in the name of the Most High's Imperial Majesty, Kadamawe Haile Selassie the First, and our beloved Empress Menen. It is almost 2 a.m. here in Addis on the mountaintop. And in a little while, you'll hear in the background chanting of the nearby churches. So you'll get a sense of where I am. And this is indeed one of the places where Nana Rita loves to be. So I give thanks that I'm here and able to participate in this recognition and commemoration of her life. And it's not done yet, okay? Sister Rita has a lot more to do, a lot more to say. And I give thanks that I can share just a few moments with my experience with her. But I'd like to start from the 21st century. The impact of Nana Rita, the use of culture, music, and a central force of Rastafari has moved the needle considerably on policies in Africa regarding the return of Africans coming home. Ghana is the first case. In 2013, Nana Rita was the first person and the only one that year to receive Ghana citizenship. It was facilitated through the current deputy chairperson of the African Union, His Excellency Kwesi Kwartey from Ghana. And it was a strategic move to ensure that a precedent was set at the time when we were grappling with Ghana and trying to work on things like right of abode, citizenships, where do we belong, who belongs, and what's the process. So once Nana Rita was given that citizenship based on her contributions and her efforts, not just being the wife of Bob Marley, but the contributions and efforts that she had done in Ghana, as Sister Sharon mentioned before, it opened the gate now for policy change. And within a couple of years, 34 of us were to receive that same honor, which has set in stone a process now where almost every year up to 100 is given citizenship. So, well, not last year because of COVID, but before that, during the year of return, over 100 received. And I was told by the ministry that as of next month, there's another 100 to receive. So these are the kinds of changes that Nana has made. Nana Afua Adobia, her Ghana name, Ganeta Mariam, her Ethiopian Orthodox name, Dr. Rita Marley, and of course, Mrs. Marley. So her power is hard power and it's soft power. She's able to come into a room with highest in government and sit and listen and speak in a manner that you would think that she had been briefed and has full knowledge of the subjects based on her ability to listen, overstand, and insert information that is in the best interest, not just of Rastafari, but of all Black people, Africans in the diaspora, at home and abroad for that matter. Here on the East, when we did Africa Unite in 2005, again, that was not just a concert. Although within the 12 hours, we attracted over 250,000 people to Meskel Square transforming even the energy in that square that had been previously used by the Derg after the coup of His Majesty for their military parades. Instead, we filled it with music, we filled it with love, we filled it with Africa Unite. And that was Nana Rita's vision. As a managing director, your role, your job is to come up with things, ideas that are consistent with the theme and the spirit of the organization, be it the Bob Marley Foundation or its sister organization, the Rita Marley Foundation, which Nana founded both. And so when we came to Ethiopia 2005, it was still not so open to the Majesty in terms of particularly being here in Addis. It was difficult to find, for instance, a red, gold, and green, the Lion of Judah flag. It was difficult to find His Majesty's T-shirts in certain spaces. And certainly where youth were concerned in terms of wearing their locks, you had one or two, but it was scorned, as we know what we went through in Jamaica. 2005 was like a busting open of the gates. The government shops started selling the imperial flag, His Majesty's T-shirts, and other merchandise that we know and love and have held up over the years. And so Nana Rita can take full responsibility for that. You know, she would often give briefings to the public and say, well, you know, it's my husband's idea. And, you know, we're just fulfilling what Brother Bob wanted. This is the duty and the sensibility of a wife. The ability with your partner, whether they're there or not, to continue to live the vision and the reality of Rastafari while touching people's lives, and not just in the bread and butter manner. Yes, Nana Rita is known for major philanthropic work here in Ethiopia, in Ghana, and beyond. But that soft power has also transferred to even policies here in Ethiopia, where now undocumented Rastafari, particularly those in Shashamane, have now been recognized by the government and have been issued permanent residency, known as foreign nationals of Ethiopian origin. And I had the duty or responsibility. I was asked to draft the original policy paper. That was back in 2013. And we emphasized the role of Africa Unite. We emphasized the role of culture as diplomacy. And I do believe if there's anything that I learned from Nana Rita in the over 30 years, trotting with her, managing her, listening to her, watching her, observing her, is balance. You know, many times we come in to the continent and we're seeking change, and we bring not just the blessings, but we bring baggage. We bring misunderstanding as to how to connect and work within the context of African culture, which the first thing is a level of listening, and again, respect. And Nana taught us that this is the best way, if we are persistent, that we will achieve goals, that level of respect. And I'm telling you, the doors that have been opened on the continent based on her work, you know, I can reflect back to Aburi, although that project started in the 90s, not the 21st century, that now Aburi is a booming city with many Rastafari and Pan-African organizations being set there. So for me, the experience, like I said, it's about feeding people's minds, bodies, and soul. Nana Rita Marley had a way of being able to do all of that. You know, there's a little story I like to tell. In 2004, when we came here, trying to knock on doors and get support for Africa Unite, we agreed, we said, okay, we're going to go to the African Union. We're talking about African unity, let's go to the African Union and try and get their support, try to get them involved. So they invited Nana and I to one of the first series of meetings they were having. It was a consultation on the African diaspora and looking at the role of intellectuals. Anyway, Senegal, we're near the beach. We did our presentation, and Nana pinched me and said, make us go to the sea. We go to the sea, and what does Nana Rita do? She sees a bunch of children just kind of sitting around. She called a fisherman to get to the biggest fish I ever seen in my life, clean them, cook them, and feed the children. While we were doing what? Also discussing what strategy we're going to use to make sure that the AU is involved with everything we have to do for Bob Marley's birthday come February 6th. Nana Rita Marley has a mind that, I mean, I just, it's always awed me, and people will criticize me, frankly speaking. Boy, it's like she can't do no wrong for you. And it's not about that. It's about watching an individual, a woman born in the ghetto, Black, beautiful woman, born in a society that says, if your shade is too dark, right, you are not anything. This woman was a singer even before her beloved husband. She had plans, ideas, aspirations as a budding Pan-African. And that she was able to use all of this as fuel to become one of the most proponent change agents here on the African continent. For instance, when they see a Rasta woman walking by, they say Rita Marley. Just like if they see a man, they'll say Bob Marley. Rita Marley, she epitomizes what the Rastafari woman and the Pan-African woman is. Not just talking, but doing. And the work and the blaze, the trails that she has blazed has made our work here a whole lot easier. A whole lot easier, because she has not just set precedent, as I said, with things like getting the Ghana passport, which was very important. Because as we talk about repatriation and reintegration, we must have a way to deal with our immigration status. Nana Rita did it. And she's continued to do things that people don't even realize. And I'm just thankful that when I got that call 1988, 89, from, this is Sister Rita, can I speak to Sister Desta? And it was about Scott's Pass. It was about doing something for our community, understanding also that spirituality was important, an important part of our development, economic, cultural, social, political, in every sphere. And so from then, we have grown in such a way that I am the woman I am because of her tutelage and her input. And yes, there are many sisters and mothers, I can say this about Mama Baby I and others who have helped mentoring and bringing me to where I am. But when you talk about a Renaissance woman, when you say everything in one package, everything in one package, and the way she walked tall with that level of confidence, but humility, we have been able to make massive changes. Massive changes. And she always instills in us the importance of care for the elders and care for the children. And that is the end game. It's not just about, okay, we have passport, we have this, we have that. What at the end of the day, what tools do we need to strengthen our society and ensure that a next generation of children are not marginalized, are not living in a race-filled society that does not allow for opportunity and access. This is what she's about. And every single day, through the Rita Marley Foundation, the Bob Marley Foundation, and in her personal work, Nana Rita has made herself available for us to be able to push the envelope through, push it through. Naya Bingi daughters, there is love. There is love and there is prayers. And these are the things that help keep Nana going. The love, the prayers, angels, ancestors. And it is my hope that this event is not just a one-time event, but we continue in this same spirit of strengthening each other. As I say, as sisters, fixing each other's crowns. I am so delighted that people like Dr. Eleanor Wint and beloved Sister Lorna are here too, that you can get the full picture of our experiences through our narration. So again, I don't want to go much into the 20th century. Others can touch that. But I can tell you this, for the 21st century, when you talk about the Renaissance woman and the epitome of Rastafari and Pan-Africanism, that is a voice to be reckoned with on this continent, there is none other but Nana Afua Adobia, Rita Constantina, Ganetta Mariam, Marley. So I'm thankful and give thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Sister Desta, for that glowing tribute to Sister Nana Rita Marley, coming out of your heartfelt experiences. You know, as they say, who feels it knows it, and you certainly have expressed to us today how deeply you feel about the mentoring that you benefited from under the influence of Sister Rita Marley, and we want to, you know, embrace you for that tribute. And now, moving on further, introducing another very close friend and co-worker of Nana Rita, Marcia Griffiths, who is one of the most prolific singers in the history of Jamaican music. Most of us are sentimental about the period from 1970 to 1974, when Marcia Griffiths worked together with Bob Andy as a duo called Bob and Marcia. They worked on the Harry J label, and she also recorded for Lloyd Chalmers. And between 1974 and 1981, very significantly, Marcia Griffiths was a member of the I3 along with Judy Mowat and Nana Rita Marley. And this trio of backing singers supported Bob Marley and the Wailers to excellent extent. Marcia continued to record as a solo artist throughout the 1970s, working with producers such as Sonia Pottinger and Joseph Who Kim. So we also remember that in 1983, she released her Electric Boogie, but definitely that period between 1974 and 1981 as a member of the I3, very significant and stellar moment in her musical career. Welcome, Sister Marcia Griffiths.
I met Sister Rita in 1964 when I walked into Studio One that day coming from Carib Theatre, and she was so comforting when I saw a female, because we walked in this place and it's all male musicians, artists, everybody, and Sister Rita was so friendly and nice to me. That's from the first day I met her. And she was in the group called the Soulettes, and I was there, and we became, I can't find the right adjective. We were just so close, and we have been friends, sisters, ever since, until this day, thank God. And I watched Sister Rita express herself in the music, the talent that Sister Rita has. I've said it before many times. 3 of us singing, Judy and myself, it's never complete until Sister Rita has that tone, that special tone, that is what put the icing on the cake and make I3 what it is. It's nothing until Sister Rita comes in with her special. Look at even when we're on stage, Bob Marley and Rita is the only 2 voices that can sing the melody and it don't clash. Sister Judy will tell you that too. Bob is singing the melody and Rita is the only one from the 3 of us that can sing the same melody with Bob, and it don't sound like it's dominating or it's clashing. She does have a unique voice, and I am very happy how I see Sister Rita excel with so many hit songs. Boy, I am so happy that I knew that sister, and I still know her to be such a talented person. Her music, boy, touches you anywhere you are, because everything can fit in every different genre, different generations, all our songs. I am happy that I am her sister until this day. Sister Rita, you know that Sister Marcia love you truly, unconditional, and I send that for you every day. So just go and keep the fire burning, Sister Rita. We're all in this thing together. One love and happiness and blessings every time. This is from your sister's heart to your heart. Love you.
Okay, yes, that was Marcia Griffiths letting us know about that special tone, as she put it, that Nana Rita had musically as a part of the I3. And I think everyone who has been touched by Nana Rita knows that she has that special tone outside of music as well. And, you know, she's one of a kind. Moving on with the program, another person who can tell us more about the special tone, perhaps, is Sister Lorna Wainwright. Lorna Wainwright spent a significant part of her professional life working in various capacities with the Bob Marley Group of companies from 1980 to 2016. Whether through the Rita Marley Foundation or Ziggy Marley's Urge Foundation, or as a manager at Tough Gang International, Sister Lorna has used her gifts to help heal the world through the upliftment of children, no less through music, as she toured extensively with Nana Rita Marley and the I3 for years, and is an artist herself, having been a member of the trio called the Mamas, who were a part of Earl China Smith's High Time Players, and who have also provided harmonies on several high-profile studio projects for Alpha Blondy, Gilberto Gil, King Sounds, etc. Lorna Wainwright is a visionary and entrepreneur who has been quietly contributing to Jamaica's cultural and creative industries for years. She is the founder of Ida and Rufus, a company that distributes Black Jamaican castor oil and cold press coconut oil. And she is also the personal manager of her son, rising reggae star, Ras I. Please help me welcome Sister Lorna Wainwright, whose theme today will be So Much Things to Say.
Met Mrs. Marley in 1979 at 56 Hope Road. She had a restaurant with a little health food part in the garden called Garnet Mariam. And she used to sell some very nice sweets and so on. I met her then. And she said, oh gosh, I have something to type and nobody's here to type it. And I said, I can type. I just graduated. I'm a graduate of Alpha Commercial. I can type. And she said, would you? And I said, yes, I was hoping to see you. You know, because I'm a fan of I3. I'm a fan of Rita Marley. And she said, come, just type this for me. And of course, I just went upstairs and here you are, do you want copies? And she said, you need a job? I said, yes. My baby is, was I pregnant? I don't remember which one. And she said, you want a job? I said, yes, I do. And she said, check me, follow me when I come from tour, you come back. And I was there, PP, club. Alan, Sister Rita come yet? Alan James used to drive. And then when she saw me, she said, you came? I said, of course. And that was the start of my journey with the fan club, Movement of Jah People, for a while, and then I became her personal assistant. But from the get-go, I knew she was a serious boss. She would say, leave them, I will read, leave them on my desk, leave them on my desk. And I said, your file is already full, leave it on my desk. And she reads everything and makes notes. She would come in at midnight and read and leave notes, and say her when you call her or when she calls you, she's at Bath St. Thomas, but she has left the work on the desk. Very serious lady. She was a very serious boss. I learned how to speak and how to treat people from her because they had so much things to say about her. And she would say, that's okay. People are allowed to speak and talk. I have my duties to do. And she would just go on. Sometimes I would cry at the terrible things that people said, because a lot of people don't know that the foundation does a lot for people. And sometimes she would say, no press. We don't want people to know what we do. Let those who receive welcome it and appreciate it. The media does not have to know. So when I would say to her, but they're saying that you all are doing nothing with the money. And she said, that's all right, let them talk. They've got so much things to say. Let them talk. She always spoke about the aged and the infants. That was her thing. Aged cared for, infants, She had an aged home in St. Mary. She would donate to the Jamaica Cancer Society, so the mobile van would go into communities, They had a feeding program, things like that. An active mother, parent-teachers meeting, off the plane from tours to parent-teachers meeting. Did your homework get done? Find out where the children are. Miss Waynes, pick up Julian at the airport. Julian is coming in, your name is on the form to pick up this kid from England, Robbie from New. She had them all and they all called her Mama. Every one of them, Mama or moms. Nana, Alpha, Rita, Garnet, thank you so much for the knowledge that I have gained being amongst you on this royal journey, because it was or is a royal journey that I started in 1979. Your humility, your sudden, quick to anger, but suddenly calm. It's like a volcano and then she just calms down. And it's back to normal. Full of respect for people, even when they're stabbing her in the back. Because I was there from the beginning when they used to say she's black and fat and ugly. And she just kept on going. I was there when friends were few. And she just kept on going. And I appreciate that about her. She still keep on going. Nana, we have some little things. Google Gaga Kuala to, she will understand what that is, Google Gaga. She knows when and where we started that, You carried me around the world. I sat with queens through you, in palaces, all over Africa. I thank you. I thank you for that. You showed me how to love. You showed me that I must get up and go to the beach and run early morning. When I'm tired, she said, go, go, go. Go and run, look at the ocean, look as far out as you can. And keep smiling. Because I wasn't a smiler. Still probably I'm not a smiler, but she said just be pleasant. It was hard to do it knowing the fight, but we did it. And we did it. We made it happen, Nana. You did it. I left Afghan and left the foundation, I now do things with the school that, well, the district. My father is from Stepney, which is 5 minutes from 9 Miles. Like I said, the Wainwrights and the Malcolms are related. So I still work with Stepney. I was down there for a couple nights, and I also work with the Anointed Foundation, Anointed Humanitarian Foundation. So I am putting what I learned from Mrs. Marley's foundation, the Marley group, and putting it into my personal journey right now. I'm so grateful for the Rastafari University for putting this tribute, this honor together for such a great human being. Rita Constantia Anderson Marley. Yeah, them powerful names, you know. And I'm honored to be invited to pay this tribute to her because she's a great person, you know, and Rastafari should acknowledge Rastafari. You know, we used to talk about how people don't acknowledge this and Rasta don't do this, Rasta don't do that, and I'm well pleased with what is happening now. I'm well pleased. For Rita Marley, it's the best of Rita Marley, Lioness of Reggae. One of the forwards on this project, it's a nice picture, I was there for this photo session. One of the forwards for this project is by Angelique Kidu, which I think is a fitting ending to my tribute to this great lioness of reggae. I was born and raised in Benin, West Africa. In the 70s, reggae music was so popular that Bob Marley and the Wailers were literally revered by the youth to the point that no one went to school on the day Bob died. What made reggae so special was the celebration of Africa and the political message praising independence and emancipation. The music of the Wailers had strong African roots and was based on the tradition of call and response between the lead singer and the backing vocals. It is also the case in our traditional songs. And this is how I first discovered Rita Marley in her work with the I3, which were the perfect counterpoint and powerful support to Bob's voice. The feminine presence in the Wailers was crucial for me. Music is a constant dialogue between instruments, but also between men and women. For me, as a little girl, growing in a male-dominated society, I needed female role models like the Togolese singer Bella Bello, Miriam Makeba, and Aretha Franklin. Rita became one of them with her proud attitude and the strength of her voice. It made it clear to me that Jamaican women were strong and resilient and would not let the men rule the world. I was inspired by the beauty of the three parts, vocal harmonies, and also felt she had a connection to Africa with her colorful head wraps. Africa has always been close to her heart. Rita adopted Ghana as a second home and has since been an activist to bring change and alleviate poverty. In fact, I first met her on the African continent in Ethiopia for the unforgettable Africa Unite concert. The whole family was on stage in front of 300,000 people in the Meskel Square of Addis Ababa, and it felt special to share that stage with her. The history of reggae music has to be cherished. That's why this album is a perfect opportunity to celebrate Rita Marley's legacy. I love this collection of songs. The music projects a sense of quiet force with its steady and unstoppable grooves. All the songs are topped by a strong, beautiful, and often collodion voice. And that is from Miss Angelique Kidjo. Tribute to the great lioness of reggae, my sister, Rita Anderson Marley.
Okay, thank you. That was Sister Lana Wainwright, who I have the pleasure of calling a mentor. When I also worked at the Bob Marley group of companies, and listening to her now, I understand. First working directly under Nana Rita Marley, and then down the line working supervised by Lana Wainwright. I can see now, where the serious bossness come from, Yeah, give thanks. So we're going to move into a musical interlude right now. And do remember that you can use the chat room, use the chat, comment on anything that you've heard so far. And let's have a lively discussion in celebration of a very special woman.
And also remember that the discussion for today's webinar, the discussants include Professor Carolyn Cooper, Dr. Desta Magoo, Dr. Eleanor Wint, Sister Lorna Wainwright, and note that you can also, as my co-host Dr. Bookman said, put your questions and your comments in the chat, and along with the presenters, we will field your questions and provide a summation at the end of the session. So over to the music.
They got so much things to say right now. They
Rita Marley herself, as herself.
Yes,
So much
yes.
things to say.
So much things to say, and they don't know what they're talking about. Yeah, man.
Over to you. So we're coming up to the presentation from Dr. Carolyn Cooper, Professor Carolyn Cooper, and I have the great pleasure in welcoming her because she's one of the influencers in my own life. Among her many accomplishments, Professor Emerita Carolyn Cooper, Professor of Literary and Cultural Studies, lectured in the Department of Literatures in English until her retirement, and she engineered the establishment of cultural studies as a discipline at the University of the West Indies on the Mona campus in Jamaica. Professor Cooper's innovativeness was exemplified also by the addition of the Reggae Studies Unit under her leadership. And interestingly enough, with Dr. Eleanor Wint, who is also on tonight's program, Professor Cooper co-edited the Bob Marley, the Man and His Music selection of papers. And this was presented at the 1995 symposium that marked the reggae icon's 50th birthday. Professor Cooper is the editor of the award-winning collection of essays Global Reggae and the author of two influential books, Sound Clash, Jamaican Dancehall Culture at Large, and Noises in the Blood, Orality, Gender, and the Vulgar Body of Jamaican Popular Culture. Professor Caroline Cooper, a well-respected analyst of cultural and current affairs in Jamaica, she writes a weekly column for the Sunday Gleaner. I am pleased and honored to welcome Professor Caroline Cooper to present on No Woman No Cry, Rita Marley's feminist fable in honor of Nana Rita Marley. Welcome, Professor Cooper.
And before Professor Cooper comes on, I'm being told by our production team that we actually have a musical presentation coming up first by Sister Carice Lawrence. And then we are going to go into Dr. Cooper. So stand by, Dr. Cooper. Carice Lawrence is going to do a musical presentation at this time. Sister Carice is a well-known creative event producer and publicist with an extensive resume in the music industry. We give thanks for her taking the time and the responsibility for this evening's song selections, and we're going to hear from her right now. Carice, take it away.
Greetings and blessed love. My name is Carice Lawrence. I am a producer of music and wellness events as well as creative content, and I'm also a consultant in the creative industries. And I will add that I am a DJ in my heart, undercover DJ. And so I am truly humbled and grateful to have been asked to curate a 5-song playlist in honor of the Honorable Nana Rita Marley, a Rastafari woman in reggae. I will start off by saying give thanks to Idor for giving the flowers to Nana Rita while she's here. She is an inspiration to I. From being a little girl, and seeing this beautiful black woman who is an entrepreneur, who is creative, who is raising her family and doing it well. We see the legacy that she has blessed us with in her children. And there's so many great things that come to mind when I think of this phenomenal woman. I've had to do this at a time in which I'm very busy, and so I made some notes. It was quite a challenge to narrow my list to 5 songs, and I'm not sure I can pick 5 at the end. But I'd also like to speak about what her music, speaks of to me. I get the feeling of Africa, Mama Africa. I get the energy of the mother, creator, queen. And we know her life as touring wife, manager of a lot of Bob's business, the work that she does with the Bob Marley Museum, the work with the Bob Marley Foundation and her Rita Marley Foundation, you know, the work that Nana Rita has done in Ghana, Ethiopia, and Jamaica. As a philanthropist, they're so inspiring, and I've had the honor of meeting her as well as working on a project with her. And it's just beautiful to also see the creative side of her that she has manifested as author, you know, in her memoir No Woman No Cry, and as well as the songs that she has sung. The energy I get from her music is faith and truth and humility and softness and, you know, a love for Jah, a love for Africa, a love for humanity, a love for Rastafari. And as a daughter of Rastafari myself, you know, it is so inspiring. So to get back to the songs now, I didn't select in my final list Holding On to This Feeling with Bob that many people may know, Who Called the Game, even Take Me that she did with Wyclef. The songs that I selected in my list, I start off with The Beauty of God's Plan. You know, just even the words in that song, she's the mirror to her man, forever beside him she will stand. You know, that is like a testament in her life. I had to select One Draw, that cover that she did in 1982. You know, giving that blessing to the sacred medicinal ganja plant, you know, her ode to marijuana. My third song would be Harambe from the Kenyan word, you know, working together for freedom. That's just a beautiful testament and message for I and I in terms of what it is that we need to do to live better as humanity, and to live in harmony. And I would put three of them in a medley. I love her songs in honor of the Most High. You know, they speak of her faith, they speak of her love. So I selected Ajaja, Thank You, Jah, and Who Can Be Against Us? You know, thank you, Jah. Yeah. And then I pick Who Feels It Knows It. That is a beautiful song, and it was a title track to an album that did very well. And then I would close with There Will Always Be Music, because that is a life mantra for I, you know, where would we be without music? So yeah, that's my selection in a nutshell. I hope whoever is a DJ figures out how to choose 5 out of this 8 or 9. But, you know, I just want to say give thanks to Nana Rita for your legacy, give thanks for your works, give thanks for the inspiration, and blessed love. Give thanks.
Coming up, Who Feels It Knows It, and just to remind you of Professor Carolyn Cooper's talk title coming up shortly, No Woman No Cry, Rita Marley's Feminist Fable.
Now don't sit by the window sister. Now linger, you linger, die, you must die. Now don't point your fingers, you get by. No, 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 don't lie, don't lie. No, don't lie, don't lie. No, don't lie, don't lie. Who feels it knows it gone. And who feels it knows it gone. Who feels it knows it gone. Say who feels it knows it.
Thanks very much, Imani, for that lovely introduction. It's an honor for me to be part of this celebration of the life and works, the continuing life and continuing works of Nana Rita Marley. I'm delighted to have been invited to participate. I'm going to be focusing on Nana Rita's autobiography. It was published in 2004, more than 2 decades after Bob Marley's death. But in a remarkably shameless move, the publishers described the book this way, quote, full of new information, No Woman No Cry is an insightful biography of Marley by someone who understands what it meant to grow up in poverty in Jamaica, to battle racism and prejudice, unquote. The anonymous writer should just have added the S word, sexism, to racism and generic prejudice. For in this sentence, and I do mean sentence, just one sec, my text has disappeared. I don't know why. Okay, I'm back. Okay, for in this sentence, and I do intend a pun on sentence, Rita Marley becomes an unnamed someone whose presence as a witness in this story is intended primarily to illuminate the meaning of Bob Marley's life. In fact, the subtitle of the book, My Life with Bob Marley, is clearly a marketing strategy to exploit the Bob Marley brand. Rita's own voice and her story are deliberately suppressed. But from the very prologue, Rita insistently attempts to right the balance. She first acknowledges Bob Marley's overpowering voice, quote, so if I hear his voice now, it's only confirming that he's always around everywhere, because you do really hear his voice wherever you go, all over the world, unquote. But Rita immediately insists that her own voice must be heard as well, quote, and one interesting thing about it to me is that most people only hear him, but I hear more because I'm on almost all of the songs. So I also hear my voice. I also hear me, unquote. The power of Rita Marley's autobiography is manifested in her liberating capacity to hear more. Despite the intention of the publisher, Alfreda Constancia Anderson rejects the symbolic role of backup singer in her own story. In an early chapter of the autobiography, proverbially entitled, Who Feels It Knows It, Rita says, quote, I loved performing live under the bright lights and inside the music, being on stage. And it was a thrill to be earning a little money independently, unquote. This quest for economic independence and the emotional freedom it affords is a recurring theme in Rita's story. I see this autobiography as a fable, a story that is designed to teach important lessons. When my former housekeeper, Miss Joyce Walters, read the book, she said, quote, "If she can make it, me can make it," unquote. Rita's story is a compelling tale of absolute determination to escape the confines of the narrow place that was deemed appropriate for a poor Black girl in Jamaica in the 1940s. She says, quote, "Because I know how I feel about myself. I know what I'm gonna try in life. I know this trench down thing is not gonna be my last days. Sometime, somehow, I'm getting out of here." Now, I also take into account the negative meaning of fable as a story that is not based on fact. Turning Rita's autobiography into Bob Marley's biography is a perverse fable by her publishers. It's a patriarchal fantasy that must be challenged. And there's a third meaning of fable that is relevant here. The English word fable comes from the Latin noun fabula, meaning story, and that comes from the verb fare, to speak. Literally, Rita speaks her own story of emancipation. Her fable is essentially feminist, for it charts a journey of self-discovery that is premised on a rejection of patriarchy in all its oppressive forms. Rita's growth to feminist consciousness is manifested in the geographical, emotional, ideological, and aesthetic journeys she makes. She travels from Trenchtown to 9 miles and back to Bull Bay, of which she says, quote, "I still feel that this is where my life, my own independent life started," unquote. The little house she built there becomes a symbol of freedom, quote. "So when people say to me, why don't you just sell it? Get rid of it. You don't need it." I say, no, no, no. This was my beginning. How could you want to sell your beginning? In the very first chapter of the autobiography, Trenchtown Rock, Rita recalls the cruel insecurities of childhood, quote, "Because I was very dark-skinned, the kids in school called me Blackie Tutus. I learned discrimination early and underestimated my own value because of my color. Jamaica has a long history of color consciousness and racial struggle," unquote. Now, the Dictionary of Jamaican English defines tutus as a darling, a pet. But in combination with Blackie, tutus is definitely not intended to be positive. Rita Marley journeys through Rastafari to a continental African consciousness that redeems the Blackie in Blackie tutus. She recalls a widespread alarm her uncharacteristic behavior provokes when she first sights Rastafari, quote, "Then I started to wear my nurse's uniform and tied a rope of red, gold, and green around my waist. And people began to whisper, you know, she crazy, she getting crazy. What a shame after all the money her auntie spent on her," unquote. But for Rita, the appeal of Rastafari is the sanity of the message of emancipation from mental slavery. Quote, "The whole thing seemed intelligent to me. It wasn't just about smoking herb. It was more a philosophy that carried a history with it. That's what pulled my interest, the powerful history that hadn't been taught to me in school," unquote. Now, as a supposedly conscious Rastaman, Bob at first encourages Rita to accept her Black identity. And I know people are going to get vexed with me for saying supposedly conscious Rastaman, but you will see. Quote, "You're a queen, a Black queen," he said. "You're pretty just as you are. You don't need to do anything else. You don't have to straighten your hair. You can wear it natural," unquote. But when Bob later returns to Jamaica from his brief stay in Delaware, he surprisingly asks Rita on his way home from the airport, quote, "Why you not fix up yourself? What happened to your hair?" "I was wearing it natural." He seemed puzzled more than critical. And I guess after American women, I look different, unquote. Much later in the US, it is Johnny Nash's wife, Margaret, who helps Rita to look less different than these American women. She gives her the ultimate Cinderella makeover. Quote, In the course of the afternoon, she dressed me from top to bottom, including a coat, stockings, and shoes. Then she took me somewhere else where a woman taught me about makeup and shaped my afro. Then we went back to Margaret's apartment and she prettied me up some more. I think she was just as excited as I was, because I remember her saying at one point, you know, we're gonna really show them something. Then we went to the studio and Bob was astonished. Margaret, he said accusingly, what have you done to Rita? Not only was I wearing different clothes, I even had an eyebrow pencil, something I'd never worn before and seldom have since. So I had a new look, and if after 3 children, I had a new interest too from Mr. Marley. Later, when we were alone, he took a long look at me and said, wow, so you went and got yourself a fresh face. It's many years since then, but I'm still thanking Margaret for that face, unquote. Now, if this was a fairy tale and not a Black feminist fable, the story would have ended there. Rita's fresh face would have been enough to eclipse the jaded beauties who once hung around her husband, quote. So to them, Bob was so attractive and they were so attracted, unquote. But Rita's autobiography goes on for another 130 pages. And she documents the alienation she felt from Bob, who was no longer the caring youth who would happily do domestic work and wait for her at the bus stop when she returned home to 9 miles from Kingston. This is how Rita describes those early days of happiness, quote, while I was gone, Bob would clean the house and cook a meal so we'd have something to eat when we arrived. And there he'd be when the bus pulled up, just as he always said. Rita, you look out for me when the bus comes. I'll be standing waiting for you. Years later, when he was called the first third world superstar and the Negus of reggae, I always wanted to remind people what led there. In St. Anne, he had one pair of underpants, which I washed out every night. And if he cared enough to have a meal waiting for me when I came back home from Kingston, I wanted to be back in time to care for him, unquote. Now that image of the one underpants wickedly recurs in Rita's narrative. It exposes Bob's very public private life. It also signifies the fundamental reality of their shared origins. None of Bob's many lovers could ever erase that intimate history or know him as completely as she does. This is how she puts it, quote, I loved him as much as any of them or more. And he knew he could count on me and depended on that loyalty on my being his sister. But he also knew that I wasn't there for the glamour, the fantasy, or the fame, that I would bring him up to reality because I was there from the beginning, from one underpants, and those were my hands every night washing them out, unquote. That memory of where she and Bob were coming from does console Rita for a time, but it is not enough. Eventually, Rita removes herself from the toxic relationship and she establishes a home in Ghana. This is how she described that experience. Quote, Africa has come like a new life to me with an ancient background because it's so Black. And because of this, I feel at home. That fight you face against Blackness in other places does not exist here. I want the freedom to be what I am and what I'm supposed to be without having to fight anybody to be that, unquote. In the final chapter of her story, Sunshine After Rain, Rita recalls one of her triumphant performances, quote, that first solo flight after such a long break was a sign, a moment of, oh my God, I'm really gonna do it. Ever since, and that was a while ago, I've taken my measure from that moment. Because when the light is on you and you're on that stage and they're clapping, you know, it's still happening. Sometimes I've said to myself, hey, it's unbelievable that I still have the strength. When I was 40, I thought that when I reached 50, I wouldn't be able to go on performing. But then 50 came and went, and I'm still at it, just ready. And with my focus on giving, it's good to receive too, to accept that standing ovation and that smile, unquote. At 74 years of age, Rita is still receiving and accepting standing ovations. That is the ultimate meaning of her feminist fable. She's not just someone who is supposed to be the backdrop for her husband's story. She takes center stage to share her own story of triumph over adversity. Alvarita Constancia Anderson has authoritatively claimed the freedom to be who she is supposed to be. Thank you.
I want to thank you, Professor Carolyn Cooper, for your anticipated and erudite representation of the contradictions that Rita Marley's life embodied in more than one senses. You really elaborated in no uncertain terms on her rejection of the expected role of faithful wife, not quite measuring up to the spotlight of the superstar and the accessories that went along with that fact. And you have given us tremendous food for thought and discussion, which will follow in a few moments. But we really want to thank you for providing us with this platform for a critical reflection on the facts and fable of Rita Marley's life. We will evolve now into a musical interlude, and this will be entitled Who Feels It Knows It. We will not repeat that. We will actually go straight into the feature on Cedella Marley, who is Rita's daughter, who is definitely following in her mother's footsteps in running the business. So over to Cedella as we keep the pace at an even clip on this honor to Nana Rita Marley webinar.
My mother, Rita Marley, lioness, means much to a lot of us. As a director of Top Gun, she paved the way as a woman in business and opened the door for many women to do the same. At one stage, Top Gun's factory manager, studio manager, general manager, and record store managers were all women. As a recording artist, both solo and a member of the I3, Rita Marley has entertained and inspired all over the world with her music. Then as head of the Rita Marley Foundation, Nana Rita has provided education, healthcare, and housing for thousands more. Growing up, I watched her balance the demands of touring with my father as a member of the I3s, raising me and my siblings, and running the business of the first record store, Top Gun. She did it so naturally and so well that I didn't realize how hard it must have been until I was grown and trying to trot that same road, following her footsteps to the best of my ability. And the entire time, she's been there for all of us as a mom, grandma, and mentor. So now at this point, I'm honored to have reached a stage in my life where she considers me almost a colleague, almost. Nana Rita, Mom, is still the boss, and none of us would have it any other way. One love, Harambe.
Cedella Marley there paying tribute to her indomitable mother, who we also pay tribute to this afternoon, Nana Rita Marley. Over to you, Dr. Bookman.
Yes, very, very, very nice to hear from Cedella here and just recalling her mother's business prowess, which we have heard before as well. So it seems to be a running theme, you know, throughout her life, being a pioneer of entrepreneurship and business. As we move forward, we are going to now introduce Queen Merja, who is originally from the French Caribbean, now living with her family in Benin, West Africa. She runs a school along with her kingman. The school is called Ekoloja, on a property donated by the Beninese government located in a forest. This rural and humanitarian school can accommodate between 100 and 200 children and educates priority children, underprivileged, destitute, orphans. The forest which shelters it is managed by Waters and Forests, and it provides firewood. The wood at term having been cut, the populations were authorized to weed the ground to plant corn there. Unfortunately, in 2019, due to the farming habits, a fire outbreak there spread to the school site one day. Actually, one day before the resumption of classes at the end of their Easter break. This was a blow to the students, their families, and the teaching staff. At this time, we want to welcome Queen Merja to share with us this evening. And we ask everyone here at the same time to consider supporting restoration efforts for the school by donating to a cause. The link will be provided in the chat. Without further ado, we welcome Queen Merja to address the gathering.
Unmute, please.
Queen Merja.
Okay, I think now it's good.
Yes, we are hearing you now.
Okay, Rastafari greetings, bonsoir, bonjour à tous. So what I want to say about Nana Rita Marley is that divine sisterhood, you know, it was really in our life, like the way God planned it. Our story with Nana Rita Marley started in 1976. At that time, my kingman and myself were living in Paris. We were Pan-African activists as we had studied the work of the scientist Cheikh Anta Diop, the African scientist. We had a weekly newspaper and had opened the first Black house in the French capital city. Suddenly came news that a consciousness movement has started in Jamaica, and the incredible posters of Ras Daniel Hartman arrived in Paris, as well as reggae music. We really wanted to know more about Ja people. And as soon as we heard that Bob Marley and the Wailers will play in London, my kingman said, go see by yourself. After a fantastic show, I managed to go to their hotel and met Nana Rita Marley for the first time. I immediately felt that sisterhood vibration. I was feeling kind of shy because my English was very small, but I explained that I wanted to meet Brother Bob Marley. She introduced me, and I explained about the Black House and that we will be happy to hug them when they will come to France. Few months later, they came to tour in France. Let me tell you that before the end of the first show, half of the audience started twisting their hair to grow dreadlocks. We shared time with the I3, especially Nana Rita Marley and Sister Judy Mowat. Again, one could feel that divine sisterhood flowing in the air. We were reasoning about the future of our people when Nana Rita says, we need more strong sisters in the movement. Why don't you join Rastafari? That is the way God had planned it. My kingman and myself read the Bible from a new angle and discovering the divinity of His Imperial Majesty Haile Selassie and our Divine Mother Queen Omega Menanasop, we decide to trod on Jah Rastafari path until today. In 1980, at Brother Bob Marley last tour in France, we joined again. And at Le Bourget big concert, Nana Rita made sure that we had the backstage pass, and we spent an article time not knowing that it was the last before Brother Bob transitioned. In 1981, when we heard that Brother Bob had joined the ancestor, we understood, my kingman and me, that it was time to leave France and go to the Caribbean island of Guadeloupe, where my kingman was born, to get ready for the repatriation to Africa. In 1997, Jah Almighty opened the gates of Zion, and my kingman, our 4 children, myself, and 2 young volunteers, we reached Benin, West Africa. I kept in my heart the memory of Sister Rita's kindness and prayed Jah to see her again. In 2005, I heard that Nana Rita Marley and the family will celebrate Brother Bob's 60th anniversary in Ethiopia. I had faith that Jah Rastafari will bring my kingman and me to be there. Without money, I booked our 2 tickets, and we were for the first time in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, for the first time, really, like a reward for Jah work we have been doing. Again, Nana Rita proved the power to gather the strength, love, and efficiency of so many sisters. The first one we met was Dr. Leonora Wint, in charge of the symposium. Mama Desta then was the coordinator of that historical event for Ethiopia, for the Rastafari nation, and the world at large. For Ethiopia, because Nana Rita Marley was sitting in the middle, with on the right side the imperial family, with Prince Zara Jacob next to her, and on her left side, the then Prime Minister Meles Zenawi, his wife and member of the government for the first time. You could see the divine sister. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can hear. We can hear.
Oh, okay, good. So I carry on. You could see the divine sisterhood in action, building the Africa we want. This is where I met Queen Mother Moses, Sister Ya Shantewa, Elders Mama B, Elder Ma Shanti, and so many beautiful sisters and brethren. Thanks to Nana Rita Marley, the Rastafari nation was again full of strength and happiness to carry on Jah work. In 2007, we met in South Africa, thanks to my beloved sister, Dr. Leonora Wint, who invited me for the Symposium of Africa Unite. I was again in that empowering divine sisterhood vibration around Nana Rita Marley. Last time I met Nana Rita Marley was in Ghana, but the spiritual connection is intact. Sometimes I read news and I feel like reasoning with Sister Nana Rita. Not having that chance, I send a spiritual message, and my kingman always pray for her and her family. That's the way God planned it. Blessed love, Queen Nana Rita Marley. Blessed love. Thank you.
Blessed love.
Give thanks, give thanks, give thanks, Queen Mirja and her kingman there next to her side. Give thanks for those positive word sounds in honor of Nana Afua Adobia the First, the Honorable Rita Marley. At this time, we're going to have another musical interlude, and then we continue with our program. Yes, 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 yes. So that was One Draw. We all know that one, you know, timeless classic by Rita Marley. And I know some people were taking a one draw, one away, same way too, you know. I see a couple pull-ups there in the chat room. So the vibes is up. At this time, you know, we've heard from a couple of her daughters thus far. Now it is time for us to hear from a representative of another of Nana Rita's generations. In fact, our next presenter is Mrs. Marley's first grandchild, daughter of Sharon, accomplished filmmaker, activist, and one of my great sisters in creation. Let us now hear this video presentation from Danisha Prendergast.
Greetings, everybody. Give thanks for creating this event to highlight some of the contributions that my Nana has made to not just Jamaica, not just the world, but the consciousness of humanity. My grandma. I watched my grandma step off of the stage as a musician, a singer, and into her role as an activist. I saw her walk away from her career that she had struggled so hard to build to fulfill a greater work, a greater expectation, a greater hope. And for me, that has been one of the most influential things in my own decision to apply myself as an activist, where I can, challenging certain powers in pursuit of a greater sense of humanity and justice. Alpha Rita Constantia Marley grew up in the ghettos of Trenchtown, but somehow has found a way to conquer all expectations and become a queen mother in Ghana. And I think for many young women who are struggling, who are facing all kinds of challenges, she presents herself to be an icon, someone to aspire towards. And we give thanks for her life, for her contribution, and for all of the offspring and the offspring of the offspring that will continue her legacy. Today we honor Alpha Rita Constantia Marley, aka Grandma, aka Nana, aka Ritty, aka Sister Rita. Whatever name you know her by, these moments are for her, and we give thanks. I am because you are. Rastafari.
Thank you so much, Danisha Prendergast, granddaughter of Nana Rita Marley, paying tribute as we trod on through this tribute paying extravaganza for the life and tremendous contribution that Rita Marley has offered us. And someone else who will provide us with a mapping of Sister Rita's contribution is someone who was very close to her, Dr. Eleanor Wint, who is popularly recognized as Nana Rita's sister in more ways than one. You know, sometimes they say spirit is closer than blood. She's the Rastafari sister who opens the discussion in that video entitled Omega Rising, Woman in Rastafari, that was produced by Sister Dennis from the Cheddar Film Studio. And Dr. Eleanor Wint is also widely known for the series of children's books that she has written, especially the one with the hands-on advice on parenting. Dr. Wint is now retired after being head of social work, University of the West Indies on the Mona campus. She was also head of community development, that program also based at the University of Natal in South Africa, and she was coordinator of the Master of Social Work program at the University of Northern British Columbia. Dr. Wint was the first Black dreadlock woman in every career instance. She can confess to all of that. I'm sure she has a lot to testify in that regard. And she's well known also as the first Rastafari woman to earn a doctorate. And so today we welcome you, Dr. Eleanor Wint, as you share with us your reflections on Nana Rita. Dr. Eleanor, I think you should unmute.
I love that. That's me. Yes, thank you very much for that introduction. Hi, Marley. Blessings, greetings to every person who is listening to this session and taking part in the event. Blessings and greetings to you, Sister Gannett, and your family. Before I get into what I really want to say, I noticed that Sister Desta mentioned the sisters, that whole element of sisters being around Nana. And it would be remiss of me not to mention two other sisters. We're all together, Sister Minnie, Sister Daima, and it would be difficult to have this tribute to Nana without just mentioning and remembering them. They're really very, very key people in the whole development of Nana's perspective. I remember Sister Minnie would say, iron sharpeneth iron, when I would hear them reasoning and getting upset about things in life and the relationship to the scriptures. And I said, look at this, I'm learning a lot. And this was how life was. This was how life was at the start. I hear Sister Lorna talking about her reading, Sister Rita reading constantly, reading, everything you give her. And Sister Lorna, trust me, it's still going on, same way. She's reading everything you give her and everything that you don't give her, she's reading. And this is a tribute by women. And I think that that is important, something to keep in mind. Because a tribute from women is not a simple thing. And it brings together not only the experiences of the public eye, and what we have achieved and, all these great statements, the awards we have been given, etc. But when women speak from the heart. It's not only how it sounds or how it appears. That's why I said to Caroline, spot on, because I was there when all the writing and the so-called introspection was going on. It was then you really realize that Sister Rita was learning how to make others understand what her interpretation of events without being antagonistic, without smashing something, just saying for the public about her life. So when I saw this event is part of the genesis of a spiritual university, I said to myself, I think it is important to be there. Thanks for the invitation. You see, it made me think immediately of the centers of learning, the centers of learning in the Mediterranean. All of these centers of learning were before Christ, BC. I thought also of the universities of the Sankore in Mali, 989 AD, and all those other universities in Africa, before the civilizations we all know of in the 10th, 15th centuries. I remember there's a Rasta man who used to say to me, we were drinking out of the skulls of these people because we were so far ahead. So our civilizations were there. So a spiritual university brings a new perspective to understanding what is the role of a university. To me, this is our history. Not history, our history. Sankofa, our own Sankofa. I can remember when Nana was installed in Ghana, and to see her sitting on top of the shoulders, you know, they carry everyone seated on these like a raft, you know, on their shoulders. And people come from miles around and sing and drum, and there's a great adulation. There's also a great expectation of who this person is and what they have to say. How are they going to change any realities? This is necessary. So being in Ghana wasn't a hunky-dory, happy fable. Being in Ghana meant that she made the commitment to a village, and she was going to carry it out to the best of her ability. People from outside would say, mine, you know, those people different, you know, they're not like us. But that didn't matter, because we were there for a specific reason, i.e., to help people to realize that there is more to life materially, and there's more to life in their interpretation of their spiritual representations every day. School, road, no, as the sister said, Sister Desta said, it's Aburi is booming. What does it mean, booming? It means putting in water, bringing in people to dig wells and be there to see water spurting up out of the ground. And then to come back a couple months later to find that somebody did something that made it go wrong. And you have to start all over again. It's not an easy thing. It's not an easy thing. You start things, you work, and because someone doesn't like it or doesn't understand it, like Sister Lorna would say, they try to make it look like it's not happening. When you go to Aburi, they have a highway that carries people from one side of the country to another. So when I say it's our history, when we record as a university, when we record and interpret what we are recording for posterity, that to me is the critical thing. That is what must happen with this life. And so today, moving forward, for us all, women, honoring a woman signifies an understanding of the role of woman as a mother of creation. A mother of creation. For the Rastafari woman, her mentor is Empress Menen. No apologies. As the presenters have shown, Nana Adabea fulfills this role, realizing the unique, multifaceted interface between Rastafari, music, and community. Accepting Rastafari at the time that she did, it's around His Majesty's visit, 1966, she moved into the strange, inhospitable world of the middle and upper class, who expected Bob and her to succumb rather than for her to carve out her own unique lifestyle. We know what happened. That determined purpose to her life, which is spoken of as the aged be protected and the infants nourished and cared for. That is at the heart of all that Nana does. The church, her commitment to community-based interventions, and her music all show this. To be as physically close as she was to people like Reverend Desmond Tutu, Nelson Mandela, presidents of African countries, people living in abject poverty, and most importantly, walking in the footsteps of Empress Menen and His Imperial Majesty Haile Selassie I, seemed to make her feel a sense of urgency that was always there. As if she had to do this now and she was going to do it whether you liked it or not. She might be sitting by the beach, but her mind is always working. A Pan-African revolutionary. I use these words because the definition of the term has changed recently, and it includes those persons who are able to physically do as well as to theorize and suggest the way forward. For the young persons today to accept the idea of a global Africa, we have to have examples that relate to their social context. Nana is one such person. Whatever she did, she relied on the teachings of Marcus Garvey. She relied on her own everyday experiences of herself and Bob and her Nyabingi mentors. And last but not least, Auntie. Auntie is very important. It is simple. She is a physical expression of the South African principle of Ubuntu. Ubuntu says, I am because you are. Community, not self. It's not coming from an individualistic perspective, but what I am doing is because I am and I have been allowed to do what is best for all of us, not just me. Many Pan-African revolutionaries remain unrecognized. We have in our midst, we have an example of a determined, focused woman on a mission which people of color worldwide will commend and interpret. A woman who understands the meaning of diaspora as diaspora being Africa is our motherland. Listening to all these presentations, Queen Mother Nana Addo, I wish you my blessings. And thanks to the organizers for having given all of us this opportunity to understand where you're coming from. Give thanks.
Thank you so much, Sister Dr. Eleanor Wint, for that heartfelt tribute. The feminine that you emphasize as important as a platform of solidarity resonates with us today. We really appreciate you for pointing that out and for highlighting the extent to which Sister Rita Marley symbolizes and embodies this unification around the feminine and the solidarity that you can recall that you experienced in that sisterhood and that tradition. We will go much more elaborately into the summation at the end, but we just wanted to signal to you that you found that chord in our hearts this afternoon in your tribute.
Thank you.
Yes, so at this time, we have come to the pivotal moment where we welcome questions, comments, on anything that ones have heard throughout the program this evening. So, you know, use the chat and let us know your thoughts. If you hear anybody out there has any tributes themselves for Nana Rita Marley, feel free to use those words in the chat and let us know, you know, what she means to you personally as well.
Can I say quickly that I have to leave at 8, so in case anybody has any questions for me, now would be the time.
All right, so we have 10 minutes of time with Dr. Cooper, so who gave a very riveting review of Nana Rita's book, and we you know, to talk truth. So we give thanks. So yeah, use the chat, everyone. We have currently 128 people in the Zoom chat. I know we are also on Facebook Live. So I trust that the questions will be funneled in by our production team. Where can we purchase the book? The book is worldwide, man. It can be found just anywhere books are sold. As a publisher, I must encourage you to support smaller independent bookstores before you run to, you know, the big box websites, because these are serious times.
Just want to remind you of some of the key points that Professor Cooper covered in her presentation. She pointed out that the reviewer of Rita Marley's autobiography wanted to suppress Rita's voice, and that she emphasized that the power of Rita's biography was her desire to hear more, her exercising of agency, demonstrated in her insistence on telling her story from her own point of view. She explained that in the book, the fable and the thematics that were explored explicitly demonstrated that this was a book to inspire those who have faced the odds of patriarchy and poverty, and to inspire confidence that they can also make it despite the challenges. She also mapped out the good and the bad of the power formulation of this fabulous feminism, and demonstrated that Rita's liberation and feminist awareness coming from Trenchtown through Bull Bay to her rise as an iconic business manager, demonstrated that she also had to disengage herself from the spotlighting of Bob's stardom and unveil the racialization that she experienced, not only in the relationship with him, but also in the wider Jamaican society. And this political statement is something that showed the awareness, the awakening of Rita in this process of resistance.
A question coming in for Dr. Cooper is coming from Facebook. Is your presentation likely to be published or be made available anywhere?
Yes, actually, it's already published in the Barbadian journal BIM. They have an academic version there. But for this presentation, I changed up the language to make it more accessible. So you can go to, and it's online. So if you just Google, it's online free. So if you just Google No Woman a Cry, Rita Marley's Feminist Fable, it will come up. So it's there. You can just Google it and read it. but it have a couple more like a big words, but just, you know, just draw a dictionary if you don't, if you don't know the words, meaning, you know, the academic people, they have a different language from normal people. So my talk tonight was a normal people talk.
There's a tribute in the chat from Queen Mother Moses to Nana Rita Marley and Queen Mother Moses and husband. She says the number one Fred Lux insisted to be in Ethiopia. Number two, Mandingo. That was a hashtag Mandingo. Only marriage. 56 Hope Road, Marley. It's a bunch of hashtags, I guess, indicating that she was officially married to Bob Marley, lived at Hope Road, much to the distress of some people who did not like them disturbing them with their loud music and so on. So the person says, I would like to dedicate a poem to her and the Black African women online. Can you forward the acknowledgements? And yes, so go on, Russ. Dottie,
Yeah, I'm
continue.
Okay, I'm also seeing a question here. I'll just read it out. I think this is from, recognize the name. I believe this is Jake Homiak. Greetings, Jake. He's saying that 2 years ago, while he was in Cape Town, he learned that Nana Rita, along with Ziggy and other family members, performed at the Independence Day celebrations for Namibia in Windhoek. Millions are familiar with Bob's incredible performance in Harare, Zimbabwe 10 years earlier. This seems to be a much overlooked but very important aspect of Nana Rita's work that is so consistent with the many things I and I have heard this evening. What can those close to Nana Rita tell us of her Namibian sojourn and her performance there? I don't know if maybe Mama Deska or Dr. Eleanor Wint or Sister Lana.
I wrote something in the chat, nothing specific, but just answering him.
Okay. Okay, I see. It was a memorable concert and okay.
It's not all the time that you get to see when you go to a concert that you can get to interact with the people themselves, the people of that country. And we really had that opportunity in
So you said that in the comments, you said that you got to see the people out in the desert, they carried it all over.
I'm trying to get in, but they put me on mute.
Look at Uncle Wes.
I'm on?
Yes, you're on, Uncle Wes.
We can hear you, we can hear you. Yeah, so you had the opportunity to be, the people there carried you around and you saw people, yeah. You met different peoples out in the desert and stuff like that.
Yes.
Okay.
It made you be aware of the different sides of Africa and the different peoples of Africa, and not just be an entertainer on the stage.
Any memorable interactions with any of those peoples? Can you remember maybe one of the names of the people?
No, that's not me. That's not my strength.
All right.
I just want to say a few words on behalf of the family of Rita.
Yes.
Am I being heard?
Yes, we are hearing you. Go ahead, Wesley.
Oh, okay. I'm Wesley, the biggest brother of Rita. I'm living in Canada. I just heard Dr. Wint. I appreciate what she had to say. I just want to say hi to her as well. But I certainly appreciate what I've been hearing. And this gives me great pride in my sister, because we grew up together in Greenwich Park Road, 12C Greenwich Park Road. And I always saw that there was a great future for Rita because we grew up in poverty. And she always, when she has time, gather all these small kids and teach them at nights. And I could see that there was a real great love for children and for helping people. And I couldn't believe that she would put all the what she had practiced down there in Grinch Park Road into reality, brought it into reality in her adulthood. And I feel so proud of her. And it's just amazing that so many people have seen the things that she has done and have said so many things that make me proud. And I give thanks for that.
Thank you very much for that sound, Wesley Anderson. And since you're the eldest brother, perhaps you can give us a little, a little piece of what was she, some quirk of her personality while she was young that many people may not have realized.
Well, as you heard before, I think somebody mentioned Auntie. We grew up with Auntie, and Auntie used to be our guardian. And of course, Rita used to be the best dressed down there in Greenwich Park Road because Auntie was a dressmaker. And of course, whatever little remnants was left here and there, she would make clothes for Rita. So, and then of course, Rita, when she was old enough, formed a group called the Melody Makers. And of course, Wallace put them on concerts and stuff like that. So Auntie was always there for us. And of course, Auntie teach Rita to harmonize. I remember, we're from a musical family, as you must have heard. My father was a musician. Leroy Anderson played the saxophone. And of course, Rita just kept that tradition going by getting involved with music. So Rita has always stood out in everything that she did. I remember she went to school, met her friends there and formed a little group and of always in the lead, always leading. So it's amazing that she maintained that characteristic and have gone to capture the world today. I am certainly humbled by what I see tonight and give thanks for everything you guys have been doing and have been saying. I keep thinking in my mind that a lot of people have done so much and haven't really given the credit for what they've done. But I can see right now that Rita is pleased that in the time that she has devoted to the world, giving them entertainment and help. Rita has done so much in the world, especially in Africa, that it is not really known the amount of work she has put in to help people. But God knows, and of course, God is making it reveal to everybody that Rita has done so much. So we just give thanks that she has lived long enough to see the appreciation that people has shown. And I'm hoping to read the book No Woman, No Cry. I've had it for so many years, but I started reading it and tears came to my eye. I couldn't go any further, knowing that I am part of that book. And I'm so grateful. And on behalf of the rest of Rita's family, thank you very much for all you've done for her and for the production of this, because I think this is just the start. There's so much more thanks that she deserves. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you for that powerful testimony, you know, from a blood relation at that, it means a lot.
Yes, I'm the biggest brother. I have another brother, Donovan Anderson, and I have sisters in Sweden, Diane and Jeanette. I have a sister in England, London, England. And so on behalf of all the family, Faith, Enos, all those family members who have not been able to participate, I tried to send a link, hoping that they've caught it early enough so that they can participate.
Come on, guys.
But I just want to say thanks on behalf of all of them.
Great. Thank you again. Thank you again, sir. We really appreciate your time and your word sounds there.
Yes.
Is Dr. Cooper still here? I saw a question for her in the chat, but I don't know if she's here to receive it. Dr. Cooper? Okay, perhaps she has stepped away.
Yeah, she had an 8 o'clock stepping away. Yes.
Okay, all right. Anything else here in the chat? Let's see. I see from International Reggae Day, saying icon, legend, trailblazer, humanitarian, mother, nana, sister, friend. Nana Rita Marley is so deserving of this honor as her journey has impacted so many women and people around the world. Her artistry, courage, confidence, and determination to live her truth, matched by her commitment and devotion to her family, and her success as a matriarch and caretaker of Bob Marley's legacy, is an example of true excellence and an inspiration to all. God bless and keep Nana Rita Marley, Jamaican national treasure and global reggae ambassador. Very, very well said. All right, so I think that we're going to start wrapping up now. You know, as for me, I'm really very pleased to be a part of this night. You know, Rita Marley was, you know, one of the first persons I met when I walked through the gates of the Bob Marley Museum. I started working for her in 2007 for the Africa Unite Youth Symposium. I still vividly remember when she put me, she needed somewhere to put me to work, and she put me in the library up in the house, you know, across from Bob Marley and her bedroom. And I remember just seeing the books in there while I was on a break, and that was when I came across Haile Selassie's autobiography. And from then on, you know, I knew I was going to be a Rasta man, you know. And another fun fact is from that same library, I was told to send an email to Dr. Eleanor Wint to ask her something. And I remember drafting a long email and said, Dr. Wint, my name is so-and-so, Ray. And Dr. Wint just replied with like a one sentence and just give me the answer and gone. You know, I say, wait, these women are really, you know, focused and serious. You know, they're just all about getting the work done and no fluff, you know. So, you know, that was my introduction to Dr. Eleanor Wint. And then, as I mentioned earlier, moving on to you know, be under the wing of Sister Lana over at Tough Gang, and, you know, meeting Dr. Magoo, you know, Dr. Mama Desta while I was in DC. And, you know, it's just a real pleasure to be here among great women, you know, as Sister Lana put it, serious bosses. And, you know, when I hear of, you know, people having so much to say about Nana Rita, I realize now that, you know, those are people who may or may not be as serious about works as she is, you know? And I realize that when Dr. Wint says, you know, a tribute from women is not a simple thing, but yet we have so many women today lending voice to this tribute. I realize that, you know, Nana Rita is, you know, she is the company that she keeps. And these are all serious women in creation. And we are really honored today to be able to give her her flowers in life today, here in 2021. And we know and we pray that Jah going to keep her for a very long time, much longer than this year, you know? So with that said, I turn over to...
Nana Rita, you know me, there's no way Queen Madam Moses couldn't tell you. Give thanks for being there with me from the 70s, through everything. Me love you forever. Me dead with you. Always in my prayers and your entire family. One love, every time. Bless up.
Bless up, all right. Dr.
Bless up indeed.
Ama.
Yes, bless up indeed. Well, we just want to thank each and everyone who participated in this webinar today in honor of Queen Mother Alpha Rita Constancia Marley, or Nana Rita Marley, and it was really a joy to see the coalescence of sentiments around the impact that Nana Rita has had on so many persons' life. I saw that Donisha had said that her heart is full at this moment because of all the outpouring of love and tributes. And of course, we would love to give you a blow-by-blow summation, but at this moment, we just want to say thanks to all who pulled from the resources of their memories and filled our cups to overflowing this afternoon. We want to thank the organizers. We want to thank Colleen Douglas, who gave tremendous organizational and public relations service in pulling all of this together, because, you know, without you, we could not have done this at all. We want to acknowledge Queen Mother Nana Rita Marley, who is the focal point of our attention this afternoon, and say, give thanks for your life and your inspiration. We want to thank members of the Marley family, Stella Marley, Sharon Marley, Donisha Prendergast, and of course, Sister Marcia Griffiths, for their contributions to the blessings this afternoon, filling the cups of our Nana Rita Marley to overflowing with that praise and honor. And we just want to note that March's webinar will be focused on the Rastafari woman as freedom warriors. That will be webinar 4, and that will be held in March. March 21 is the scheduled date. And we also want to acknowledge the panelists for their contributions: Sister Lorna Wainwright, Dr. Eleanor Wint, Dr. Desta Magoo, Sister Gannett Rose, Queen Merja, and of course, Professor Caroline Cooper, Carice Lawrence, for her musical selection and video tribute, and the amazing Marley daughters, Sharon, Sedella, and Donisha, for their tributes in video, the Rita Marley Foundation and Bob Marley group of companies, the local media that was really supportive in their promotion of this event, Sister Isis from Roots FM, Ras Miguel Lorne of Best FM, Kabu, Maat Keru of Ari FM, the RGR 94 team, Palav and Paula and Francois, CVM TV and the Gleaner and Observer all lend their support for the public relations effort, and we want to thank them very much. And the overseas press, Reggae E-Guide and Reggaeville graphics, provided by Paris, Austin, and Anthony Mundell. And the technical team, of course, wanted to add Kimberly Hyatt to Colleen Douglas's name, because she was very much there as well in making this happen. The steering committee of Ras Wayne Rose, Ras Jalan Naya, and Colleen Douglas all put hands and hearts together to make this such a successful event this evening. Extended Sosacruedu working team and advisors: Dr. Dina Marie Beresford, Sister Walete, Ras Siku Tafari, Dr. Ras Robbie Shilliam, and George Rose Esquire, Dr. Ras Michael Barnett, and Ras Kaimo. And of course, you can get in touch with Sosacruedu on Facebook at Sosacruedu Edu, and on Instagram at Sosacruedu Edu, on Twitter also at Sosacruedu Edu, and on YouTube at Sosacruedu. Thank you once again for your participation. And over to the chat room is where we're going right now.
Yes, and I'm told that Sharon Marley would like to say another word, so we yield the floor to Miss Sharon Marley.
Thanks.
Sharon? Okay, great.
Yes.
Everyone, in the name of the Most High, His Imperial Majesty, Jah Rastafari. It's so good and so pleasant to be amongst all of you, all faces I recognize, some faces I don't recognize. But I've been sitting here with Mom for the last few hours, and Sedella and Sarita, And the grandkids, you'll hear them running up and down. And mommy really, you know, when everyone is talking, she's saying yes and throwing kisses to everyone and agreeing with points that she remember. And I asked her if she remember that special language that she and Sister Lorna use, and she said yes. I asked her if she remember being in Namibia with Sister Eleanor, and she said yes. And some of the things that Sister Dessa. So she recalls all of these endeavors and all of these memories, and she's very gracious. We are all very gracious. And Uncle Wesley, of course, almost brought tears to our eyes and laughter at the same time. So joy and blues, we mix it together and make a nice lemonade. So thank you all for paying this special attention to my mother tonight, and I hope to continue the conversation. And she's saying something else. Hold on. Yes, mommy. The MC, that's Mr. Bookman. She remembers having you under her tutorage. And she's smiling and happy. So thank you for giving us the great memories this evening. And as I said, looking forward to continuing this very important conversation. Thanks and praises. Have a good night, everybody. God bless.
Give thanks. Give thanks. And
Blessings.
Everyone over there. Blessings to the whole family.
Give thanks.
Yeah, keep on.
I and I were blessed. Give thanks.
Yes.
Oh, Nana, we love you.
When she saw Emos again, she started to laugh again. And so it's all good vibes over here. All good vibes.
Oh, God, I feel so good. We thank you. Here we thank you. Raswe and Rose, thank you. Here we thank you. No, we needed this. You hear? We needed this. Thank you. Blessed. Blessed.
Salute.
Yes, blessed love. Blessed love.
Okay, so just to you know, provide a summation of what was discussed tonight. We started off with actually Sharon Marley, who helped by setting the tone and, you know, kind of grounding our meditation just in preparation for tonight's program. We then heard from Mama Desta Magoo, who, you know, spoke of Nana Rita's hard and soft power, something that I know many of us are very well aware of. The balance that she exemplified in her business endeavors and her charitable endeavors as well. We then heard from Marcia Griffiths, who spoke of the special tone that she brought to the I3. We then heard from Sister Lorna, who told us not just about her being a serious boss, but also being very meticulous about her work. And also being an example of how to treat people, even despite any negative energies that may surround. We got a selection of music, a reasoning around music by Carice Lawrence, who was inspired by Rita Marley as a young girl. We then heard from Dr. Caroline Cooper, highlighting the individuality of Rita, separate and apart from Bob, and speaking her own emancipation into being, and just giving a full account of herself and her own feminist fable. Dr. Imani?
I can provide a little tips to elaborate on what you said in terms of what some of the focal points that Caroline explored in her presentation. It was interesting how she prefaced what she was saying about, you know, about Rita's responses by saying that, you know, we could probably get a little upset because Bob definitely showed the extent to which he had also internalized some amount of racism in his response to her embodiment, and that her makeover is something that we are very familiar with in terms of how people are not comfortable with their Blackness. And of course, she obviously had some issues that she had to work out because of both family and social responses to her. You know, this whole racialization of identity is a deep problem that we have here in Jamaica. Sister Mirja gave us a very powerful testimony about how she and her husband had been impressed by the deep spirituality of Sister Rita Marley, and how at nodes in their lives she was there to inspire them to make the trod to Rastafari, and how that really impacted on their destiny. The emphasis that Queen Mirja put on the divine inspiration that started in 1976, and the Pan-African resistance that Rita embodied in her ability to not just go on a tour, but also to politicize that tour and to demonstrate the extent to which the Africa Unite extravaganza was also something that showed her commitment to repatriation and to Africa. She thanked them very much for that South African connection too, and this dovetailed very nicely into Dr. Eleanor Wynn's presentation, where she noted that she also had to mention two other ancestors, Sister Daima and Sister Minnie, who were also part of that sisterhood platform that they worked out to keep each other going as part of their that feminine resistance movement. So she emphasized that it is important to be part of this spiritual university, that the centers of learning in the Mediterranean before Christ, you know, the university in Mali and other places in Africa, where proverbially we were drinking out of the skulls of Western Europeans, certainly showed the anciency of this knowledge that is being rekindled in this virtual space, and which she encouraged should be something to encourage, to illuminate the role of history and the importance of Sankofaing to ensure that we certainly will know where we're treading to in a sustainable kind of way. And I think we leave it there. And thank you once again for actualizing this with your presence and your vibrations, and for us to note March 21 as the next scheduled date for the next in the webinar series.
She is the moon, he is the sun. Together they become as one. She is the warmth, he is the wind. So sweetly and completely